Please welcome Vice President of Product and Engineering, AI Governance Portfolio, IBM, Miriam Ashuri.
2026 is the year of operating AI workloads at scale. AI is no longer an experiment. It's the backbone to how enterprises run. But when you're running at that speed, control is not the enemy of your progress. Think of a race car. The brake is not to slow you down. It's designed to let you go faster, corner harder, and stay on the track. Governance is that brake. But here is the problem. And I don't have my clicker. Here's the problem. AI assets are coming from everywhere. We have the AI model providers. We have the agent providers. We have the tools and MCP servers. The AI landscape is evolving rapidly, and the governance is not catching up. Just look at the news over the past couple months. Lovable security stumble, open cloud breach of data. These are just examples of many more, and these are not technology failures. These are governance failures. As a matter of fact, 78% of business executives are not comfortable and confident to pass an AI governance audit within 90 days. 78%, and yet they have AI workloads in production. And the cost is real too. For a 20 billion enterprise company with weak governance, they lose roughly about 70 million a year, not because of random errors, not because of unavoidable glitches, because of things that they could predict, predictable oversight gaps. Let's agree that without governance, you can't scale. But how would you get that control? How would you build that control? My view into this is rooted around the companies and customers that have been building it and I've been working with. I call it an AI governance stack, 3 layers, and each layer is built upon the last. Starting with visibility. Only 18% of enterprises have a complete AI inventory. Only 18% maintain that inventory view. How would you govern what you are not even aware of? Visibility is the foundation to assess your exposure. But then, visibility without control is just informed exposure. Knowing where your assets are is only important, and it matters if you can act on it. And control is the one that is establishing that governance policies, guardrails, and defining what can go to deployment in production, under what conditions, and for what purpose. And last but not least is accountability. Control without enforcement and accountability is just good intent. So let's go through them one by one to walk you through what we are bringing to the market, starting with visibility. We said visibility is the foundation to assess exposure, but what does real visibility actually mean? Most of the enterprises have tried to address this through legacy inventory catalogs. And they still fall in that 27% that don't know where their AI is in use. Why? Because just knowing where your AI assets are is not sufficient. What matters is understanding the enterprise context around them. Governance is about relationships. A use case exposes a risk. A risk demands a control. A control is measured by metrics. The metrics prove that a business outcome is achieved. You break any link in that chain and you're not governing. That's why we are introducing a new concept called governance graph. is your living connected map of all the relationships across your company. And it's showing you the relationship all the way from AI assets to controls driven by your policies, driven by your enterprise AI risk, and driven by compliance and regulations. So now you can trace exactly what assets is being used for what purpose, what controls are involved, and if the controls are actually working. And it gives you a 360 view of all your entire AI estate across different platforms, whether it's AWS Bedrock, whether it's Azure AI Foundry, whether it's Watsonx Orchestrate. And also across different production environments. And yes, including Shadow AI too. And that's the governance graph. So let's see some of them in action. What I'm showing you is the governance console. This is your dashboard. And one of the use cases that I like to walk you through is an HR use case called Employee Support Manager. The risk and compliance officers goes to the risk dashboard and they see a description of the use case and all the metadata about what the purpose of this use case is and how it's going to be deployed. But when I go under the building blocks, I see exactly what are the AI assets that are related to this. And as you see, I even see the vendor and the provider of them. We also provided a visual representation of them, a graph representation. So you can trace exactly in one single view how to get from the use case to the building blocks. As you see here, my agent is connected, like I have 3 agents that are using some of the tools, and the tools map to agent metrics. In one single view, I see if breach happened or not. So that's visibility. Moving on to the second layer, control. Visibility tells you what you have, but control starts with evaluating risk. And that's where most of the governance approaches fall apart. Why? Because they are looking into the AI asset risk independent from enterprise operations. We take a different approach. We are bringing all the enterprise AI risk from the GRC world. We map it and blend it to AI governance, starting with business continuity risk, business operation risk, IT risk, and third-party risk. If you truly believe that AI is an operational risk, and it is, this is non-negotiable. Take third-party risk as an example. You've heard about agent sprawl, AI assets are coming from everywhere. How would you decide which vendor to trust to grab their AI assets from and put it in your business workloads? We have deep partnership with a broad ecosystem like Dun & Bradstreet, RiskReckon, Rapid Ratings, and others to bring you that deep vendor assessment, even including the real-time incident monitoring, so you can make the right decision. And it's not just for risk, this exact same thing for compliance. Through our partner products, we are offering one of the largest networks of AI-related compliance content in the market. Obligation mapped to your AI assets, mapped to use cases on a graph. What does it give you? It gives you recommendation, automated recommendations on applicability. You know exactly what is the right compliance to apply here. It gives you continuous audit-ready reporting and dramatically reducing the cost and friction of staying compliant. Let's see some of these in action. Back to our use case. There's our use case that we saw the building blocks. This time, I want to go to risk. Let's see what we see when I go under risk. You see one single unified view of all the use case risk associated to this use case. It's initiated by your risk taxonomy, and it's empowered by AI. You can go adjust the risk dimensions and look into what I'm exposed to, not just at the use case level, but also at the building blocks level. But let's go deeper and see how I'm using AI today to mitigate some of these risks. The one that I picked here is personal information prompt. It's an HR use case, so I want to make sure that there is no personal information on the prompt being shared. You can come here, you can configure LLMs to help you with your mitigation strategies to mitigate this risk. You can look into the controls. There are 3 here. I'm asking AI to provide recommendations for new controls. To mitigate this, it's looking into the metadata that you have on the use case, all the building blocks, and provide recommendations on the control. Add, and you're done. That easy. And you can configure your own LLM behind the scene. The same for compliance. Let's go to the compliance. You come in, we are using AI in partnerships with all the partner data that we have, looking into your use cases to provide recommendations of what is the right regulatory environment that is applicable to you. Obviously, you can add your own, but you see that AI option, AI suggestion, on and on, you can configure the LLM behind the scene. You pick the one that is applicable, EU, ESA in this case, and you're good to go. You can start connecting, collecting the evidence, because everything is mapped to that governance graph that we talked about. The feature that I'm showing you here is horizon scanning. The market is evolving rapidly, so does the regulation. How would you make sure that you stay up to date with your regulation? Through our partnership, the one that you're seeing here is Cube, you have access to real-time information on the regulation, mapped to requirements, mapped to obligations, mapped to your controls directly on the graph. And this is compliance. The last one, accountability. Control without enforcement and accountability is just good intent. Once you have defined all your controls, now they can be implemented in any AI control points, from the application layer to AI assets layer, like observability dashboards, production monitoring, to lower level infrastructure layer. Breaches, risk signals, corrective actions continuously flow back to your governance console to close the loop between governance intent and operational reality. But also we need to hold AI accountable to the business outcome that it was built to deliver, right? So all the use cases are tied directly to business objectives that are measured against real KPI. So you know exactly what is working, what is not working, and what needs attention and investment. Let's see some of that in action. Remember the control that we just created together using LLMs to provide the recommendation? How am I gonna track this? Let's go a little bit deeper. We need to associate this control to a metric. You can go, I'm just gonna double click over here. You can go into the control and then create your own metric from scratch, or look into one of the existing metrics that are available already in your enterprise and being tracked to get that. In this case, I'm going through one of the existing metrics. I like to mask sensitive information. I see that we already have established metric input PII that is plugged in and is monitoring information for me and is alerting me on a daily basis when breach happens. Perfect, I can just select that and I'm good to go. But let's see what happens when breach happens. Here's an example of breach. Faithfulness breach happened. I'm a risk and compliance officer. I'm looking at this breach. What do I need to know? 1, how frequently I'm tracking this, like how recent this is. And the second one, how far is it from the threshold that I check? So you go to metric information, all the information is available to you. But what's more important is, what is the business outcome that is going to be jeopardized because of this, right? I can scroll up and go into the business objective that is associated to this. And I see there are 2 KPIs that are in danger because of this. As you see, one of them is highlighted as breach. So I go in and I can investigate what was actually the impact of that breach on the metric to my business outcomes. Because then you will have the insight to figure out if the control is working or we need to modify things. So visibility, control, and accountability. You're gonna need all 3 to create a foundation for your AI that can scale with confidence. But here is the problem. Trust in enterprise is not just a technology problem. It requires a delicate balance between processes, people, and your technology. And with that, I would like to invite my partner, Phaedra, to go deep on processes and people. Thank you.